What's up, y'all? Again, I apologize for yet another hiatus. Uh, Start of this month, I was studying for two certification exams for my internship, and I got one of them, which I'm really proud of. But after that, 2 week period or so, I went on vacation with my family, and I really wanted to focus on soaking up as much family time as possible because I was going to campus in Ann Arbor right after that, and now I'm here and spent a lot of time, catching up with friends and stuff, building, connections in clubs, and just getting ready, getting in a flow state for the rest of the semester. And I'm back here now. Luckily, I found a little window where I can record something. And today I want to talk about the clash between what I've seen in society and college specifically versus what God tells me to do, right? So, just for context, the first year and a half that I've been in college, or I guess my whole life, but that specifically, I was agnostic. I was baptized when I was little, but my parents never practiced, so I never practiced either. And society had always told me that, you should always put your career over anything else. Yourself should be over anyone else, and anything that doesn't serve you, you should, leave it be. And now that I've, started reading God's word, and now that I've started trying to be better in his image, I now see that society is telling me something that honestly doesn't please God at all. So God tells you to be forgiving in the way that he forgives me. He tells me to be loving in the way that he loves me. He tells me to be generous in the way he's generous to me by answering my prayers. And so I realized that basically my whole life, or specifically when I started to realize that my life was becoming real and that I had to actually work to get to where I want to be in life, a lot of things that I did were for my resume or for my experience. For example, when I volunteered in high school at the church, and when I volunteered to be a youth mentor for a hockey club for students with disabilities, I knew I was doing something good, but in my head, I was like, this is great resume experience because I can show that I'm so well-rounded to, the college admissions that there's no way that I can't get into somewhere good if I have all these things on my belt. And, when I became a senior, my ice hockey team, I wanted to become a leader for two reasons. For one, because I felt like it was my job as a senior to, step in the shoes that the seniors before me, the seniors before them had filled. And on top of that, I was like, this game means so much to me that I want to, be as best of a hockey player as I could be. And it will look great in my college application when I show that I did as much as I could to be good at a good teammate and a good player. And now that I look back at it, I kind of noticed that all these things that I was doing, they were all self-centered. It was all about me. It was about what can I provide, or what does this provide for me? What does this experience provide for me? And so the past year, just about, I started going to church in January, and since then, it's been a very long journey of learning God's word and learning what to do, what not to do. And it's really changed my heart and my mind. I now look at, the activities that I have right now, and I look at what can I do for these communities rather than what can these communities do for me. Just for context, I'm now a social officer in the Wolverine Sports Analytics Club, and I realized that my perspective on this leadership position has completely changed. I used to tell myself, I want to become a leader to propel my career, but now it's I want to be a leader in this club because I want to make this club give the new members and underclassmen the best experience possible they can have, and for them to feel the same joy I felt when I realized that I could put what I was learning in class via coding into my hobby, that was sports. And that was something I never really experienced until I joined the club. So when I joined the club, when I made that realization, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much more fun than I've ever had coding. And so in the summer, after my first semester in the club, I started, coding just for fun. I just started making projects that I thought of on the spot. Like I'd be like, you know what? I really want to make something that can determine how much protein I need in a recipe. Boom, there you go. I would code it, and it just felt so much more rewarding to me. And now that I look at the position that I have right now of power in the club, it's not I have this power so this looks good on my resume, so when I go for a job I look like a leader. Now it's I want underclassmen to realize that coding can be fun too, and coding can be implemented in your hobbies and your interests. I want people to experience the same joy that I experienced. And so now when I'm going into this club, bringing forth my ideas, it's not how can I make this club look as good as possible for my resume, but it's how can I make this club as enjoyable for everyone as possible. That's number one. And then number two, recently I've started going to the events of Michigan Catholics group, and just being in that environment in general, it's very clear to me that everyone wants the best for others. No one wants the best for themselves in that club, right? And so the first event I went to was actually a dinner yesterday, and I never felt so welcomed in a club before. Like almost right off the bat, everyone was shaking my hand, greeting me, asking me for my name, what I do. And I feel like a lot of clubs where they're kind of professional, people are more like, I want to be here and I want to make a project that I can put on my resume so I can show my employers. But Christian Catholics, it's more of, how can I strengthen my bond with the Lord? How can I be more inclusive to others? How can I make others feel the joy that I feel when I talk to the Lord? So I look at the things that I'm working on now, for example, this channel, and look at what I was working on before. And before it was all, how can this make me a better employee? How can this make me more money? It was very greed focused. It was very selfish. It was very, maybe narcissistic, if that's what you want to call it. But now I'm looking at how can I give to a community that's given so much to me. The Michigan Catholics, they all go to St. Mary's, which church that I went to even before I went to their events this semester. And just the peace I felt and the love I felt from Jesus in that church. I want to be in that community more because I want to share that joy that I felt with others. I want others to feel that joy. And so in my flesh, I want to be able to spread that out. And that's also one of the reasons why I started this YouTube channel. I felt like my whole life I had been, basing everything on my own career. And now I feel like this is a very easy way for me to kind of give back to that, So I guess overall, I just want to say, once you rewire your brain into thinking, how can I help this community versus what does this community provide for me, you can kind of really soak up as much joy as you're meant to soak up. And then when you incorporate the Lord with that, it's so much more fulfilling. I might wrap this up here, but I just want to make a quick disclaimer. At first, I wanted this channel to be more philosophical, more universal, because a lot of my friends, Hindu, Muslim, agnostic, atheist, and so I wanted to make really broad advice. But now that I think about it, it's gotten harder and harder to give people advice when I can't talk about, what I learned from the Bible, what I learned from God's word, and what I've learned from, the pastors, friends that have been Catholic for longer than me. It's been pretty eye-opening. And I realized that at this point, I can no longer convey advice without mentioning that. And so if that means that I'm going to lose viewers for that or lose subscribers, so be it. At this point, I see that trying to balance between, like kind of just stay on the fence between having an agnostic perspective and having Catholic's perspective, I can no longer do it. And so if you're from a different religious background or whatever, I'm really sorry if this hurts you, but I also encourage you to try. Just try to understand what I'm saying at least, and maybe one day the Lord will speak to you and it will change your life the way it's changed mine. Aside from that, I think that's all I want to say. I hope to talk to you guys really soon. Again, I'm sorry for taking that long hiatus, but I hope to get back on track with this. See you guys later.